What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode with AB Investments, and this is the post live video. This is not a video that is going to be talking about things that we're talking about in the live. This is what what AB thinks that we could be anticipating, or the things to look forward to in this upcoming week, guys. So I'm going to make it as short as possible. Let's dive right into it. We got let's look at the ftds. Sometime I've covered this over a few lives before, but it's important to continue to remember. We had this past Friday, we had this 2.653 million that's supposed to be delivered, that obviously the price action didn't see much of or anything. So we got to look forward to tomorrow on the 11th, and then Tuesday on the 12th. We have also, the red is obviously saying, the red rows means higher ftds amount, basically. So you can see the difference here in these 3 days compared to these 3 days above it, right? Now you guys know, like this look, and this ties into the technicals as well. According to that, those numbers and these technicals, if we look here on the 5-day chart this past week, AMC broke out of the bearish sentiment, obviously, into the bullish trend, and more of buying into the stock. Now here's look, just so you can see it on a better standing. You see how ever since that June run up of last year, we covered this before, we have a bull flag formation. 1, 2, 3, 4. This one you see right here, look right there, guys. You see how we're breaking out of this trend? So two things could happen this week, or specifically tomorrow on Tuesday. It's either that they kick us back into this wedge down here, inside the, taking us back into the trend. But the best part here is that you see this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you can keep going like this. You see that we're making higher lows than before, not necessarily higher highs, but we're making good than just improvements, but we're making higher lows. That means that stock is moving in a bullish trend, which is why when you take it away from obviously the whole year perspective, and you look here on the 5-day chart, you see that, yes, you can see, we were able to see the bullish pennant right here, pin it out. And then when you look on a daily base, you see they both were correct. Both bullish pennants that we have here were correct. You see it was formed right here first, and then, yep, we did have a rise in the price. We dropped back down after it, waves going, and then we had formed officially another one right here. Not obviously couldn't see it down here, but we officially formed a bullish pennant right here. And you've seen it obviously act accordingly to the pennant. We've seen it here. Now this is where we ended up right here. So now what I'm looking at is for us to perhaps either consolidate in this region, maybe have something like this. Maybe we'll forget this curve right here. Just move like, upward movement trajectory, or because you've seen it here in this trend over the past, let's put it like this, the past month. You see this, guys? Look at this. This was eventually where our bottom that was in this whole last month. We moved up, consolidated within this realm, but you can see here we started making a higher low right there than this point, and then you see over here we dipped right out of that trend, which almost got us right back down to the zone of the bearish trend to continue going down. But instead, you've seen this next wave right here when it was on top of it, confirming that we were stepping out of the sell-off, the oversell sold obviously territory. And now you've seen that move go up here, and okay, down here, that's when we found another bearish a bullish pennant. But you can see, what we can see here mostly is that we made a new higher low. We consolidated in this region and obviously dropped right here. But what can you see here? 1, 2. Obviously, we see in the higher lows. Now, if this wave right here doesn't do something like this, where it closes here in these next 5 days until next Friday, then obviously this will show that we're making another lower low, which could kick us back. Eventually they are basically continue the trend. Now, I don't see this case, honestly, just to be totally honest, this is just an opinion, not a financial advice, guys. But what I see it doing is stopping either right there or anywhere right here before this low. So above, let's see, where do we exactly close at? Speaking of that, looking at Bitcoin crypto, we'll talk about that a little bit. We seen AMC closed at 1466, but 1474 after hours. So that was cool. We also know that Thor, Love and Thunder, seen 143 million debut on the weekend. So 143 million in the weekend. That's pretty good numbers, guys. That's very, very good numbers. We're only to see more and more and more, obviously, for the days to come, or especially this upcoming weekend. But yes, so I anticipate us to drop or to be right here and pick up where we left off and do this, and continue to rise. Or perhaps with all these ftds right here that is supposed to be going in, the ones that were on Friday, ones for this Monday, which is tomorrow, and then Tuesday. By Friday, that crazy options chain that I talked about in one of the lives before, and some of the lives, it is very tempting. Guys, there's a possibility that they could go ahead and try to tempt us with some bullish price to try to get people, to perhaps paper hand or whatever the case. I mean, again, everybody makes their own decisions. But if there's any setup for that kind of theory, this is it right there. I'm not going to say this is the setup for the MOAS. Anything could be at any given moment. Why am I not buying too much into this? Because there is logically no absolute way for them to cover the FTDs or to give them to you, because the float is oversold so many different times. So how can they deliver something that is unsynthetically as well, which is what they've, I think, been doing by kicking off all these FTDs later, and that's why you see market makers like Citadel having over 65 billion in undelivered assets. Obviously, failure to delivers that they have not settled. These could kick into them, but the only logical way that they could cover is simply when we sell. When we sell, that's the only way they could cover that. And that also makes it easier for them in the future to avoid any other legal troubles, because obviously when people or legal entities come looking for FTDs or synthetics, none of them are going to be around. Why? Because the MOAS would have already happened and is gone, and all the crap that is in the failure to delivers that we are sitting with, that we're holding the reservoir of, we would have already have sold it back to them. So when people ask, what do you think, AB, about how they are going to solve this or how they're going to cover? I mean, yeah, they're going to need shares, but to what extent? What if they just buy back the reported shares? They say the short is 132 million of the shares are sold short. Well, okay, just cover those. But what about the billions of shares out there in FTD's form? Well, the only way they could cover those is by buying all those back and burying them after, or shredding them or burning them, whatever the case, so that they will never surface again. So does that matter to us? Honestly, to me, I just want my money first, then we can move past that and start talking about legal issues and how we can sue whoever. But for me, I need my MOAS first. I need my money, and we're gonna get that, guys. That's, again, my personal opinion on the matter. It's not advice, but that's my opinion on it. It's been my opinion. People heard it on my live streams forever. So if you hear anyone else talk about the FTD delivery being taken care of via them buying all those FTDs back in order to cover those, then make sure you remember AB investments. So with that being said, guys, hopefully you like what I had to show you. We have a lot riding on this week. I would say don't dive too much into what is happening as far as day to day. When it's happening, you will know it. You will see it. The numbers will not be logical. We do have a very bullish trend. I'm not tying our MOAS to anything else. I'm not tying our MOAS to the CAT system. I'm not tying our MOAS to any catalysts out there. And the reason why I say that is because the biggest catalyst of all catalysts is already have been induced from a long time ago within the play. This is why I always say that the battle has already been won many months ago. They know this. They're just shaking off as many people as they can. So when this ship lands and docks, it's less damage. And obviously whatever was sold already, whoever paper handed long time ago, or in this process before the MOAS, leading up to the MOAS, that was an ability for them to go ahead and buy back or cover back some of those FTDs that they have shipped, throughout the whole movement to so many people. And the more lucrative for them part is, especially the people that bought AMC at a higher, like in the June run up back in the 50s, 60s, 40s, and sold only so that they could go ahead, because they listened to some nonsense YouTubers that basically say, hey, let's sell here at 13 or 15 and buy it back at 10 or at 9. Well, you just served the market maker and those brokers that were over leveraged, completely over leveraged. You just gave them back shares when you bought them initially at 30 or 40. They just had to pay you $15 now. So they just pocketed $30 if it was 45 a piece. They just pocketed $30. Whatever the difference between where you bought and where you sold and where you plan on rebuying again, if you get that chance again, they're the overall biggest beneficiary from that kind of thinking. Because at the end of the day, they know that you are holding what they need. You know they need it, but in the same time, you're not acting like it. It's kind of like a lion that's running away from a rabbit. Don't run away from rabbits. This is what these hedge funds and these market makers are. You're the lion in this example. You're the one who is, or who are holding the sharp nails. You got all these sharp teeth and everything, claws, everything. They don't have shit. They just have the underground system where they get things away, dark pools and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, no matter how much they have, no matter how much they keep kicking it forward, it only gets, it's even better and better for us because it further makes the value of the play even higher. So for those of you out there that are thinking about whatever figures and whatever, it's always in your best interest for more of this to happen, because it could lead to more buying when the time comes to cover, which leads to higher numbers. So whatever YouTuber is saying that, no, now we got too big, we have to accept less numbers or whatnot, apply logic. Just apply logic. When all these FTDs are being answered for, because they will be, how will they be answered for? Through you and me and everyone else selling back their shares. It's the only logical way that they can go ahead and cover these billions of amounts, and in the same time never having to show any proof over it that, hey, this was normal. And when it's all said and done and all the selling is done and they bought back all this, whatever astronomical numbers it was, when it goes back to reality, they're going to be like, we didn't do any corruption. Show us. Come. You want to find anything? There's no FTDs. Yeah, the float is correct. It's 513 million or whatever, because everything would have been back to the normal levels. Everything would have been reset. All the shares would have been bought back and disposed of. the synthetic ones, and then the real ones are all purchased back. Now everything goes back to zero. But them covering failure to delivers that come numerically to higher than what the float is, how will you be able to get to an equal number eventually, which is zero, like everything is balanced out? It's impossible. Mathematically, it's impossible. They can't, unless they go ahead and say, yeah, we're going to print extra shares for this and synthetic shares for this. Well, they can't legally say that. They can't do that as well. So the only, for me, this is just an opinion of my own, the only opinion that also says this, one of the many, but my personal opinion is that the only way that they could cover all these FTDs is via, when the process happens, they will buy all these FTDs back. And that's the biggest catalyst, because at the end of the day, this whole process has been managed from the moment that it got out of hands. It's just been managed to so it stay in this bubble while it's time for it to burst. If this don't make you feel great and bullish about whatever, I don't know what else would. I'm not trying to influence anybody. I'm not trying to make you go and invest on something or sell out of something or whatever. You're smart enough. You do all these decisions for yourselves, guys. I'm just sharing my opinion. And if it clicks with anybody else out there, so be it. If it doesn't, well, there are many opinions out there, and I respect all. And hopefully, we all can get that knowledge across the whole community. Last but not least, I wish all the content, not creators in this case, but dissectors that go and get their news by not doing their DD, by not even understanding the dynamic of the market, just jumped in, see that there's hype and want to make content on it, and therefore you go and rip off other channels' info. Trust me, I have a big file of storing all these things together, and eventually when I feel like enough is enough, I will call you out. I will call you out. Start understanding what you're copying. It's fine to share knowledge. That's the point of everything. But don't put your name on it. Don't take information you don't even understand, because the way that you're portraying it is by just copy and paste, and you're pasting error, even with a bunch of errors along the line, leading many other viewers, or the viewers that you have captured somehow. I don't have no idea what kind of brain that they use to follow that, but nevertheless, you're leading them astray into a dark cave and realm. And I personally I have a big problem with that. So much love to everyone else. And if you enjoy the content, please hit the like button, consider subscribing, and much love, AB Investments.